Welcome back, Halo followers. Today we're going to be speculating and talking about the future of Halo Infinite regarding the multiplayer as well as the campaign. So, Game Cheat actually revealed this mid-credit cutscene that was cut from the final game. However, him being a data miner of sorts and, modder, has found this cutscene, has uploaded it, and is quite a tease as to what is coming next. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the ending, the legendary ending for Halo Infinite, so spoilers are ahead. If you haven't played the campaign, then probably click off this video. So firstly, let's talk about this secret mid-credit cutscene. Now, I'm not sure if I can show this. Really have no idea because this might technically be breaching some kind of, I don't know, I'm just going to talk about it. I'm not going to show it. But essentially what happens here is very similar to the opening cutscene to the game with the pilot waking up and seeing Master Chief. He stands up, he looks at it holding the headset, he says, "Chief, you're not going to believe this." And Master Chief steps up, and the pilot and Master Chief both look at each other, and then they look back out at the opening of the ship. So from what the ending basically implied is that Master Chief and the pilot are still going to be on set of Halo. Whatever is coming next as far as DLC or the next campaign, whenever that comes, is obviously it's going to continue the story on set of Halo, right? So I want to say that this seems to be teasing a new friendly that is alive that we haven't seen in the game. This could be anyone from Agent Locke. It could be one of the other more standard characters like maybe Thomas Lasky. Although I have to say it's probably a Spartan, right? It's probably a Spartan because they probably survived the same way that Master Chief did, right? Otherwise, I don't really know how anyone else on the Infinity would have survived, considering that the entire thing blew up and got destroyed. It's really hard to see any other possibility being there. Although people are speculating that it could be the Arbiter, it could be his ship, it could not be a Spartan at all. It could be literally anything. I think this is a great teaser. Obviously it's not giving us any answers. It's just a big question. What are they looking at? Could this be Locke? A lot of people are actually pretty hyped for Locke, as well as myself, because we don't really have a clear answer. And I've always said I believe that he could come back if 343 really wanted him to. He could have at least had like a good ending to his character arc that would have maybe wrapped him up and kind of redeemed him a little bit from Halo 5's boring mess. But anyway, with that being said, very exciting. I want to move on to offensive bias. So at the end of Halo Infinite's legendary ending, we get a tease that not only is Atriox still alive, but there seems to be some kind of conversation between Forerunners talking about offensive bias and how dangerous the Endless are. Firstly, I want to say that the Endless, apparently they are more dangerous than the Flood. And, it feels like, I hope 343 isn't just shoehorning that in. And if they're not, really the only possibility that I imagine that the Endless are is that they are the precursors or some type of precursor. So that's like probably for another whole video, but the Endless are certainly going to be a part of the future of Halo Infinite and, the stories moving forward with Halo. But offensive bias was teased and was apparently here to stop the Endless, right? At least that's what that is implied from the legendary ending. Now, I want to share some art here. Again, I don't even know if I'm supposed to share this. I think this is actually from the Halo Infinite concept art book, so nothing really too spoilery here. But we actually did get a teaser of offensive bias way, way, way back during the trailers. A lot of people speculated that this was actually mendicant bias, which offensive bias and mendicant bias both have a lot in common. They both share a huge part in Halo's lore and the the falling of the Flood and the Foreigners, right? So yeah, the fact that offensive bias is showing up is very exciting. There was actually an audio log in Halo Infinite that I still need to break down, but it does tease that the Flood are on Zeta Halo and that they have broken free. So I think the Flood could be potentially planned later, but I want you to take a look at this specific image here. This is concept art, right? So obviously none of this is in the game, but we do hear about offensive bias teased in that legendary ending, and we also see these three lights here. Looks very similar to a clip, a small moment in one of the trailers long ago where Master Chief was looking at something with these identical 3 lights here set up like a little pyramid. So maybe 343 has already planned this whole thing. Maybe it's cut content from Halo Infinite that will show up later. But it seems like this was certainly a plan that they want to implement at some point. And offensive bias here in all these images seem to be kind of facing Master Chief, burning down a forest or smashing down pine trees, with electricity or this big sandstorm or more electricity. It's very interesting. It seems like there's a lot of different styles that they've planned for him to go in. I think they're going to go with the 3 lights that we saw in the first one, but who knows what could end up happening here. I'm very eager to see what they end up designing here and whether he is actually going to go against Master Chief. It seems like offensive bias honestly would probably take Master Chief's side, but maybe not. We thought the same thing probably with Halo Infinite story, but a lot of plot twist in there, but I won't get completely into it. But yeah, offensive bias, if you don't know, was an Encilia, a foreigner Encilia, an AI that was meant to and created to stop the rampant AI mendicant bias. Mendicant bias I've talked about so many times, and he's very interesting of a character, and we were all hoping for him to show up in some way. And honestly, I think this is kind of alluding to him, because offensive bias was only created to stop mendicant bias, which was the foreigner Encilia that actually sided with the Gravemind in the Flood and almost wiped out the foreigners and led to the creation of the Halo rings. And offensive bias here is very pro-foreigner, right? So Master Chief might be doing something here that is, anti-foreigner. But if offensive bias is being activated because the Endless are now activated and have come back, well, we could see offensive bias actually be an ally here, which I think would be very intriguing. But really, all this concept art, it looks like he's trying to kill Master Chief or running right towards him. It looks like they're going to get into some kind of fight, at least in the beginning. But yeah, anyway, very interesting lore as far as offensive bias goes. But I also want to talk about the multiplayer. Now, there really isn't a roadmap, and I've been talking about this for, the past month or so, but I want to see a roadmap. We keep seeing these events, we keep seeing armors, we keep seeing these expensive microtransactions, and nothing really has changed over the holiday break, and why would it, right? Because they were saying that they were already pretty busy and on break in the beginning of December anyway. But now the excuses are going to start running thin because obviously the game has launched. It has been about 2 months almost here, and it's still lacking a lot of content. There's no understanding of what is coming next, and I want to see a roadmap. I think that that should honestly be the first thing, and I have to believe that there is some kind of roadmap internally. So all I want to see is them just publish that and let us know what they're planning. Obviously, I don't think we're getting any content until, May, right? Which is a long time from now, April or May, 6 months after launch until season 2, which is just a disaster. And I hope they can rush that, honestly. And I hope that season 2 isn't lacking, because honestly, if it fits the theme with everything we have so far, I feel like season 2 is going to bring about a bunch of new microtransactions and about 1 map, maybe 2 maps if we're lucky. And maybe a couple game modes, right? And then maybe we might see Forge in December, which is just a disaster. So I hope not. So they are addressing a lot of these things. I think that challenge swaps and XP are getting, they actually did apologize recently. That was one of the last videos I made about this topic and about Halo Infinite's saga of microtransactions and its, quote, disaster launch. Of course, the gameplay loop is great, but there are some serious issues. I can't even get into a game half the time. The servers keep crashing. There's desyncing. There's lagging. And I think there's another Halo YouTuber, I forgot who, but they were saying, like, is this gameplay actually good? Because it's really hard to play sometimes. Like, everyone's saying that this game is perfect, except for all the back-end stuff like microtransactions and yada yada. But like, even the base game itself isn't playing right. There's, melee blanks, there's desync issues, there's lag, there's server issues, and there's disconnection. And that's just not good, right? And I think that's kind of including the base game, right, in a way. Anyways, as far as things coming soon, I imagine that they are going to keep addressing a lot of the issues that we've talked about. If you want to see the video that I talked about last, it's 343 says sorry to Halo fans, and where they actually did genuinely apologize and talk about all the things that they don't want to see in the game in the future and that they want to improve, such as not advertising free content like the samurai stuff and then putting it exclusively into the store for $20. They haven't really talked about how microtransactions, how expensive they are, and we really have no idea if they're working the way that they want them to work. I have to imagine that they are at this point. Are people caving? Are people going to start shutting up about this? Christmas just happened. We've had a big refresh, and unless 343 makes a big mistake that kind of refreshes this whole mob mentality and complaining, which is good in this scenario, I think, is I don't know if the game is actually going to improve the way we want it to. So yeah, I'm going to start up my videos again. I'm going to start talking about this stuff again because I want the game to improve. Just took a little time off just to chill for the end of the year, and I just wrapped up the Master Chief vs. Noble 6 trailer. Y'all seem to love it, so I'm really happy about that. But anyways, guys, I will catch you in the next one soon. You take care. Got a lot of videos planned in the near future. Peace.